J.J. McCarthy is certainly ready for that. We learned earlier this week that he will, in fact, play against the Houston Texans in that preseason opener on Saturday at U.S. Bank Stadium. Andrew, it feels like we're at the point of camp, at the point of McCarthy's trajectory where we've seen him enough now that people are like, it's not like those who have been watching it every day are losing patience, but it's kind of like, okay, I feel like it's gotten a little bit more critical lately, or a little bit more like, okay, where are we at with JJ McCarthy? And there's tons of stuff to go with that, right? Like, he didn't play last year because of the injury. He's getting up to speed. This is a tough system to learn. The defense he's going against in practice every day is probably one of the 5 best in the NFL. All that said, like, where do you think we are in the evaluation of JJ McCarthy, and do you sense any impatience beyond just fans and maybe some media members?
I don't sense any impatience at this point, but the Vikings do, obviously, and Kevin O'Connell want to see him play, as you mentioned, on Saturday in the preseason opener. And I think this next week to 10 days is going to go a long way in deciding how this coaching staff feels about week 1. Not to say that they're wind vanes and get pushed around by the slightest thing, but this is a big 10 days, 2 weeks, because it's not only the preseason game, JJ's first game since he got hurt a year ago in his first ever preseason game against the Raiders last August, but they have the joint practices coming up against the Patriots the following week. And Kevin O'Connell and all the coaches really talk about how those joint practices are often the most important prep sessions for the entire summer for the entire team, not just JJ McCarthy, because coaches on both sides, this will be the New England Patriots and Mike Vrabel, view this as the most contained way to really push and test your starters. Because in a preseason game, you can't always stop the action if you view something was over the top. Obviously, it's live tackling, whereas in these sessions, it's not. So these are the times where they're going to crank up the intensity as much as they can right up to that line, and then crank up the complexity as well to see what their guys can handle against defenses or offenses that they don't go against every single day. So I think this is going to be big to see how McCarthy performs, because you're right. It's been pretty tough against this Vikings defense. And to the point where Kevin O'Connell's had to make his point and say, this isn't just Flores out scheming me as the offensive coach. They've got great dudes up front, and we're not able to push the ball downfield as much in practices without kind of doing what they call dealer's choice periods, where they tell the other coaching staff, like O'Connell will tell Flores, hey, don't run this, or this. I want to try X, Y, or Z on my side. So they will do things like that. But if they're just kind of pinning their ears back on both sides and trying to get after it, it's been the defense winning more often than not. And on Monday night, they held their annual night practice in front of the fans at TCO Stadium. JJ wasn't able to do a whole lot. He was running, fleeing the pocket quite a bit. Those pockets were collapsing. And then by the end of the practice, when they went into a red zone period, he just looked kind of flustered, as he seemed to be running when he didn't need to. He ends it with a touchdown pass at the pylon to Jordan Addison while on the run on a play that might have been a sack anyway. So it's just hard to evaluate in these sessions, and it's going to be telling how he does against the Texans on Saturday, and then, like we talked about, the Patriots the following week.
Well, and the mobility is an asset for him, because it's not like he's, he's not Lamar Jackson, but he can move, he can get yards, he can make positive plays with his feet or extend plays a little bit. Kind of Darnold did that too last season, but McCarthy's fairly mobile in that way, so it's like this kind of push pull, right? Like, that's part of his game, but also you don't want to see him getting happy feet. You don't want to see him getting ponder feet, and like fleeing the pocket at the first sign of any kind of trouble, because that's a bad recipe for throwing on schedule, things like that.
It is, and pocket presence and all those things is such a critical thing for all young quarterbacks to get, and you see some guys get it right away and some guys just don't, and that really helps separate the CJ Strouds from some of the other guys who fail right away or can't succeed and under pressure. And with McCarthy, I almost wonder if Monday night was a coaching point, because we saw a lot of the quarterbacks kind of tucking and running, and that just not in ways that we had seen before. Obviously, coaches want them to hang in the pocket long as possible, complete the route patterns downfield. Let's evaluate our receivers. Let's evaluate our corners. Don't waste reps by tucking and running. So the amount of times they did it on Monday night made all of us in the media kind of wonder, was that part of the coaching? And we didn't get to talk to O'Connell after the session, so we don't know yet. But McCarthy in general, it kind of goes under the umbrella of he has not had a lot of time. And so the mobility is going to be huge for him going up against good pass rushes that he'll definitely see this season. It might not be until thinking games like maybe the Steelers, games like the Eagles in October. He's going to have to use it. And for a guy too, who is still not lighting up red zone periods where the windows are tighter, the throws are more difficult. You have to be really on your timing. If they're not running the football particularly well, they're going to need him to score with his legs too. So it'll be interesting to see how that all unfolds. But they need him to develop as a passer. That's the number one thing. That's always been the chief, obviously, priority for them. And it's both mental and it's physical. JJ's talked about how I didn't throw for months during my rehab. I couldn't get on my feet to throw. So I lost my touch a little bit, which was already a focus coming out of Michigan when he was healthy, being able to arc passes and layer passes into the intermediate levels and hit guys on the run with timing. All those things are a work in progress for him. We see him kind of just laser and rocket throws into places he does not need to, and they fly off the fingertips of receivers' hands. So this is all kind of the normal work for a 22-year-old coming into the NFL. And Vikings fans, in terms of patience, might want to remember that Sam Darnold, when he lit the world on fire, still had 6 years under his belt in the NFL. And JJ's obviously got just one on injured reserve.